you tired of the same old explosions and punchlines? Well, brace yourselves, jackasses. We're about to dive into the wild world of action comedies that flew under the radar faster than a ninja with a jetpack. These flicks pack more punch than a kangaroo on espresso and more laughs than a hyena at a comedy club. Get ready for a roller coaster ride through the land of missed opportunities and hidden gems.
You suck, you jackass!
Today I'd like to discuss 10 action comedies that'll make you laugh, cry, and wonder why you've been wasting your time watching the 17th Transformers movie. In the event you haven't seen these wonderful films, I'm gonna try to keep them as spoiler-free as possible. Action comedy movies are one of my absolute favorite genres, from films like Lethal Weapon and Ghostbusters to recent ones like Deadpool and Wolverine and Bad Boys Ride or Die. Action comedy movies can drop the proverbial bomb and soften the blow with great humor. So instead of boring you with more exposition, let's kick off this little list in hopes of finding your next watch. At number 10, we've got 2010's Night and Day. Night and Day is the Tom Cruise flick you've probably forgotten about, but really shouldn't have. Directed by James Mangold, the bloke who brought us Logan, Ford vs. Ferrari, and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I can forgive him for that one. This 2010 action comedy is a satirical romp through Cruise's own career. So Cruise plays a secret agent on the run, dragging Cameron Diaz's unwitting car restorer into a globe-trotting adventure. It's like if Mission Impossible had a few too many and decided to not take itself so seriously. This film has more personality than a drunken Scotsman at a wedding, with Cruise and Diaz's chemistry sparking like a faulty power line. It's the perfect blend of action, comedy, and self-aware mockery, and it ultimately left me grinning like an idiot. I think this movie's honestly hilarious and has some terrifically executed action sequences. Sure, this movie got mixed reviews, but that's because the marketing wankers couldn't figure out how to sell it. Go back and watch it. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. It's Tom Cruise at his most self-deprecating best, and that to me is worth the price of admission alone. Coming in at number 9 is a dose of pure cinematic insanity. Shoot 'em up. This is the action flick you never knew you needed. Directed by Michael Davis, a madman with a camera and far too much caffeine. Clive Owen stars as a character just named Smith, a carrot-munching badass who's basically Bugs Bunny with a gun fetish. He's protecting a newborn baby from Paul Giamatti's Hurts, a hitman who's part Elmer Fudd, part sweaty psychopath. This film's a non-stop bullet orgy that will make even John Woo blush. It's so over the top it makes Hard Boiled look like a PBS documentary. Davis cranks everything up to 11, giving us action scenes that are as creative as they are ridiculous. Like in so many movies, Giamatti chews more scenery than a termite on meth, delivering a performance that's equal parts hilarious and terrifying. It's almost like watching Shakespeare perform in a mosh pit. Shoot 'em Up is the bastard child of a violent cartoon and a gun catalog, and it's glorious. If you like your action absurd, your humor dark, and your vegetables deadly, this is the film for you. This movie will, right or wrong, have you thinking a carrot is a decent self-defense weapon. At number 8 is the movie that introduced Jackie Chan to most Western audiences, the slapstick action gem Rumble in the Bronx. So if you haven't seen Rumble in the Bronx, you're truly missing out on peak Jackie Chan. Directed by Stanley Tong, this 1995 gem follows Chan as he visits New York and gets mixed up with street gangs and diamond smugglers. Think it sounds stupid? It is, but in the best way possible. Chan's comedic timing is sharper than a samurai's blade, but everyone's too busy gawking at him jumping off buildings to notice. The plot of this is thinner than my patience after a few whiskeys, but who cares when the action's this good? Also, the stunts are next level. It's a non-stop roller coaster of jaw-dropping stunts and fight scenes that'll make you question physics itself. The film often derives humor from the contrast between Chan's polite, fish-out-of-water character and the rough and tumble Bronx setting, even though it was actually filmed in Vancouver. This film basically made Jackie Chan a household name here in the States, but it's still ridiculously overlooked and underseen. Running its way to number 7 is the late 80s gem that is so underrated it hurts my feelings. Midnight Run. Midnight Run is the action comedy you didn't know you needed. This gem, directed by Martin Brest, who also did Beverly Hills Cop, follows Robert De Niro as a bounty hunter escorting Charles Grodin's embezzling accountant across the country. It's like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles if they were being chased by the mob and the FBI. De Niro and Grodin Runn's chemistry is so electric it could power a small city. Their banter's sharper than a mobster's suit, and the action sequences are more explosive than my granny after her morning Metamucil.
Just so gross.
This odd couple's cross-country adventures a hearty roller coaster of hilarity and high-stakes action. From train chases to helicopter pursuits, Midnight Run delivers thrills faster than Grodin can annoy De Niro in this, which is pretty fucking fast. It's a perfect blend of wit, heart, and adrenaline, leaving you wondering why this isn't more popular or famous than De Niro's eyebrows. With a 95% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, this film's fresher than a mint julep in a Kentucky Derby winner's circle. Midnight Run is the action comedy that'll steal your heart faster than Grodin stole millions from the mob. At number 6, I now get to talk about the SNL bit turned movie, MacGruber. This 2010 action comedy is more underrated than my liver's ability to process whiskey. Directed by SNL alum and Lonely Island star Jorma Taccone, this cinematic masterpiece follows the world's most incompetent special ops agent as he tries to save the world from a nuclear threat. Will Forte stars as the titular MacGruber, a mulleted moron who's about as skilled at defusing bombs as I am at finding love in a Russian bathhouse. Now, it's easy to think a movie based on a Saturday Night Live sketch would be as entertaining as watching paint dry, but you'd be wrong about this one. MacGruber really works because it commits fully to its absurdity, with Forte delivering a performance that is so gloriously stupid, it'll make your brain cells commit seppuku. The action sequences are surprisingly well executed, parodying 80s action flicks with the precision of a drunk surgeon. But it's the comedy that'll have you spitting out your beer with jokes so crude and over the top they'd make a sailor blush, and timing sharper than my ex-wife's tongue. So if you're in the mood for a comedy that's as subtle as a sledgehammer to the nuts and twice as funny, give MacGruber a watch. Just make sure you don't eat any celery while you're at it. Coming in at number 5 is The Fall Guy, a recent action comedy box office bomb that I just happen to love. Directed by David Leitch, the stuntman turned director who brought us John Wick, Atomic Blonde, and Deadpool 2, this flick follows Ryan Gosling as a washed-up stuntman trying to win back his ex while also solving a Hollywood mystery. Now, you might think it's just another mindless action romp. Part of it is, but I will say The Fall Guy's got more tricks up its sleeve than a magician at a kid's party. The chemistry between Gosling and Emily Blunt is hotter than a habanero in a heat wave, and the jokes, for the most part, land harder than a stuntman after a botched high fall. There is an unresolved coffee bit that drives me insane, but it's hard not to smile the whole time you're watching this film. One of the best aspects of the movie are the action sequences. They're more practical than CGI, which means they're about as real as it gets without actually killing the poor bastards. It's like watching a greatest hits compilation of every 80s action movie you've ever loved, but with better cinematography and fewer mullets. So in 2024, if you are tired of the same old superhero shit and want something that'll make you laugh, gasp, and possibly question your career choices, give The Fall Guy a watch. It's the most fun you'll have without risking a lawsuit or a broken bone. Number 4 is A Tale of Bullets, Wisecracks, and Questionable Morals, The Last Boy Scout. This 1991 action comedy is more underappreciated than a designated driver at an Irish wake. Directed by the late great Tony Scott, this flick pairs Bruce Willis with Damon Wayans as a washed-up private eye and a disgraced quarterback investigating a murder leading to pro football corruption. It's like if Lethal Weapon had a love child with Chinatown and raised it on a steady diet of one-liners and explosions. Why does it work? Well, it's got Shane Black's razor-sharp script, which spits out more zingers than a vending machine on the fritz. The chemistry between Willis and Wayans is so good you'd think they were separated at birth and reunited in a seedy strip club. And then there's also the action sequence. They're as over-the-top as a circus clown on stilts. We're talking car chases, shootouts, and enough property damage to make an insurance adjuster weep. Sure, it's got more plot holes than a Swiss cheese factory, but who cares when you're having this much fun in the movie? The Last Boy Scout is a cinematic theme park ride that'll leave you grinning ear to ear. You definitely have to check your suspension of disbelief, but if you're looking for peak 90s fun, it doesn't get much better than this. Coming in at number 3 is what I'd consider one of the best movies adapted from a TV series. 2015's The Man from U.N.C.L.E. So The Man from U.N.C.L.E. is a stylish spy romp that's been criminally overlooked. Directed by Guy Ritchie, this slick action comedy follows American and Russian agents forced to work together during the Cold War. Henry Cavill and the now blacklisted Armie Hammer play off each other brilliantly as the suave Yankee and the stoic Soviet. Alicia Vikander rounds out the trio as a plucky German mechanic caught in the middle. The plot's as convoluted as a drunk octopus trying to tie its shoelaces, but who cares? It's all about the witty banter and jaw-dropping action sequences. Ritchie's signature style is on full display play here with split screens and slow-mos galore. The film oozes 60s cool from the retro gadgets to the impeccable costumes. It's like James Bond and Mad Men had a baby, and that baby grew up to kick ass and look damn good doing it. So why didn't this gem make a bigger splash? Maybe audiences weren't ready for a spy film that doesn't take itself too seriously? Their loss, I say. The Man from U.N.C.L.'s a spirited good time that deserves a second, or third, or fourth look. At number 2, we have the dark action comedy that's more fun than a barrel of monkeys on meth, 2018's Game Night. Directed by John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein, this flick follows a group of competitive friends whose game night turns into a real-life crime caper. The duo also directed the Dungeons & Dragons movie, which is an underrated action comedy in and of itself. Now, why is Game Night underrated, you might ask? Because it's got more layers than an onion wrapped in a burrito. The script's tighter than a nun's. Well, you get the idea. Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams lead a cast with more chemistry than a meth lab explosion, delivering rapid-fire quips that'll make you spit out your Crystal Pepsi. But it ain't just about the laughs. The action sequences are slicker than a greased-up pig at a county fair. There's a car chase that'll make you forget you're watching a comedy, and a one-take scene that'll have you checking if Alfonso Cuarón snuck onto set. What makes it work? It's got the perfect balance of humor and thrills like a tightrope walker juggling chainsaws. The directors blend genres smoother than a perfectly mixed cocktail, and the result is a film that's more satisfying than finding a $50 bill in your coat pocket. So if you haven't seen Game Night, pull your head out of your ass and give it a watch. It's a damn good time and one of the funnier movies of the last 10 years or so. So our final stop on this action comedy tour is a criminally underrated 2016 action comedy, The Nice Guys. Not only is this my number 1 pick for the most underrated action comedy, but I think this is one of the best and most underrated movies of the last decade. Directed by Shane Black, the film stars Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling as two mismatched private eyes investigating a missing person case in 1970s Los Angeles. What makes this movie work, I think, is the incredible chemistry between Crowe and Gosling. Their comedic timing is just impeccable, delivering hilarious one-liners and physical gags throughout. The film's dark humor and clever writing keep you laughing from start to finish. It's not just funny, the action sequences are also thrilling and very well choreographed. From shootouts to car chases, The Nice Guys is non-stop entertainment. Shane Black's direction perfectly balances comedy, action, and noir elements. The 1970s setting adds style and nostalgia to this smartly crafted story. Despite having positive reviews, The Nice Guys underperformed at the box office, but this gem deserves a much wider audience. It's a refreshing, original take on the buddy cop formula that always leaves me wanting more. So that's it for this vidya. I appreciate you sticking with me this far. I know it can be a struggle. So are there any movies you'd add to this list? If you've seen any or all of these, what do you think about them? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video and want to see more, I'd be so grateful if you could give this a like and possibly grace me with a subscription. Also, if you're on the fence about any new movie coming out, go ahead and check out my YouTube Shorts section for my quick reviews of all the latest releases. I watch a lot, so you don't have to. As always, the opinions in this video are mine and mine alone, but what do I know? I'm but a mere jackass. I'll try to do better next time, but I won't. Catch you later, friends.
That talks too much. I'm just a jackass of all trades. Don't know shit. I'll keep on talking, acting like I'm so legit. From politics to sports.